It says we're live now. So this is a religious debate group interviewing Jeff Tadlock, also known as Stairway to Reason. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm Joel Pearson. We've got Alan Kinsey here, and of course Jeff. So, Jeff, how did you get started with your YouTube? So were you religious at one point? I don't actually know.
Yeah, I was quite devout actually. I was really into Christianity. Big fan, big love for Jesus almost all of my life. I'm almost reached mid-40s, but I was highly religious till my late 30s. I was taught Christianity as a young child. I have memories of being like 6 or 7 years old and my dad telling me about angels and heaven, and I grew up in it, so it seemed real to me for most of my life, and I took it quite seriously. But yeah, I am no longer a Christian today, uh, and because of that, because my experience was so profound, I kind of wanted to shout from the rooftops, like, wow, I was deceived. Like, all my life I was wrong. And I just wanted to share that with people so bad that I started blogging online. And of course, people don't read these days, at least the majority. Everybody wants to be spoon fed. So video happens to be a real popular forum right now. And so I was like, well, I can't get nobody to read my blogs because they're a mile long, nobody's responding or commenting. So, nobody's reading your blog. So I started making videos. That was natural for me because I'm an artist and a musician all my life, experienced with video. Just started making video, and people just liked my message, liked what I had to say. And I'm not a scholar. I'm an artist. I wear funny glasses and all that kind of stuff, and people just liked it. And it started doing quite well on Facebook. I don't have a big YouTube presence, but my Facebook presence really kind of shot off the charts. And Alan here, who's with us, was one of the very first to notice me and get on board with what I was doing and help and support the movement. He's been with me for a while.
Yeah, I think the thing that actually to you was a video that you did, my letter to God, or something to that effect.
Yes, yeah, my very first video.
That was really, it was your whole sort of life story. I think, I'm not sure if you've ever seen that, Jeff, Joel.
I don't remember that one. No.
Yeah, it would be, I have a series of 16 that I actually number in the titles. And I also created a playlist for that 16, which is basically my 16 video series that describes my reasons for leaving Christianity, and actually a guide for those who question their faith. And the video he's talking about is video number 1. The very first video I ever made, which was actually the very first chapter of my book that I wrote.
Yeah, right. I didn't know you'd written a book as well.
Well, it's not published and it never came to fruition, but it does exist in my closet. And those were initially my blogs that I started to post, and that's why I was saying people don't read anymore. So what I did was I just basically read my blog on video, and then all of a sudden people would sit and watch.
Yeah, I think reading is gone straight out the window. People prefer to watch things instead of reading.
Yes.
I think it's a big loss.
It is, and but if we want to change things, we need to cater to what is effective, and so video seems to be what is effective. That's what, because it's lazy. I mean, people can just set their phone down, put some headphones in, and they don't have to do any work. They don't have to read. So
audiobooks actually bridge the gap quite nicely.
Yeah,
I listen to a lot of audiobooks while driving.
Yeah, and podcasts, and yeah, me too. Me too. I bought Richard Carrier's entire, not his series, but what his most popular work.
I think
It's
I've read
kind of
all
hard.
his books now.
Yeah, I got all those on audiobook, and I
Yeah, he reads them himself.
he charged a, yeah, he did, and I wish he wouldn't have, because actually I don't like his voice. I mean, I do, but
Yeah,
his reading voice was not that good,
not got a
and
Stephen Fry voice.
no, it was a little difficult, but I enjoyed the series. I got him on audio, and he charged an arm and a leg for those things. I think I paid like upwards $100 for that audio set. My goodness.
Well, going through Audible, I'm just using credits, so that works out pretty cheap.
Oh, okay, yeah, I don't even remember. I think I went through Apple for mine, because I'm an Apple guy. So
yeah, Amazon, you can just, if you remember, you just use credits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you used to get I think 3 credits for £18, so I could buy
Yeah.
It worked at like £6 a book or something. It was pretty cheap.
Yeah.
But the best thing about having Carrier read his books is that when he reads out all these Greek and Roman names, he actually gets the pronunciation right.
Yeah. Yep, he's great. And a friend of mine who runs the page Deconverted is trying really hard to do a full in-depth bio of Richard Carrier, which will be pretty neat.
They finished filming.
Oh, did they start already? I wouldn't even know if they did. I mean,
he said it was going to be like a 10-episode.
Yeah. I think last time I heard they were still crowdfunding for it, but I don't know.
No, it's actually started now, I think.
Oh, good. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yep. Aruel is his name. I always try to get that pronunciation right.
I did wonder if that was a nickname or something.
No, that's his real name, and he's a good guy to get to interview as well. And I've talked personally with him on the phone, and I like him. He resonates with me really well. So we cross share things on our pages together.
I think we're getting a little bit of feedback from Alan's input.
That was my fault. I hit something that I shouldn't have hit.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, he sounds like an interesting guy, because he's really motivated, and you can see he's really putting effort, and the quality of his videos is really good.
Yeah, I think you can really sense it when people are sincere about wanting to make a change, to wake people up, when they're very sincere about it. And yeah, I mean, I'm obviously very sincere. I really want to see it. I just want people to realize, like I realized, I just want people to wake up and smell the coffee.
Well, I think that might actually be a mark of the genuine nature of belief, when you leave and you want to help other people realize that they were mistaken as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't actually say that you are an atheist per se. You more still not sure whether to believe or not to believe. Is that correct, Jeff?
I don't like labels. I really don't. I don't like using the word. I don't mind if people. Oh yes, I got one too.
Could be twins.
Yeah, I don't mind if people call me an atheist. It doesn't offend me. It's fine. I just for me, it seems like, why are you licking my beard? Oh,
leftover food.
The only reason why I try to shy away from labels and labels like atheism, because I'm constantly having people want to label me as an atheism, because I speak for the atheist community, and I know this, I do, and I'm fine with that. But the problem that I confront with that is that once you call yourself an atheist, people automatically identify you with somebody who believes everything came from nothing. Evolution is the absolute truth. There's no deviation. And I'm the type of guy that, I still question those things. I don't fall in line with the idea that there possibly isn't something more to life, or that there is some sort of creative force behind life that we just haven't identified yet. grant you that if there is some sort of creative force or mechanic in this universe, it seems to be not concerned with our welfare. But that doesn't mean that there's something that hasn't been discussed. If we're missing something, I like to entertain quantum physics and discuss things like, what if we're in a simulation, the simulation theory. And I feel like when I identify with a label that I'm throwing out all of the wonder and mystery that is in me, and I just completely reduce myself to just everything's natural law, when I really I do embrace mysticism, though there's no evidence that I've found for it. But I'm not closed-minded to it, and so I don't like to adopt labels. I like to remain unaffiliated, if be. Most people say, well, you're agnostic then, and I've kind of ran with that. But I think the labels that I am most comfortable with is being called a secularist or a free thinker.
Yeah, I'm sure those apply. I mean, atheism itself is just a single position on a single question.
I know, and that's what boggles my mind, of why the world takes that word and puts you in this one camp.
It's a reaction
because
thing.
Yeah, because I understand that. I understand what atheism means. It's simply a word that says, I don't believe in your God, which is essentially what I am. That's essentially what I agree with. But when you apply that label to your page or your personality, all of a sudden you get pigeonholed as one of these guys.
I think it depends where you are.
Yeah.
How educated your community is.
Yeah, that's right. And my community is a very, I mean, I deal with a lot of Christians. I try to anyways. I know Alan knows that I don't try to be an exclusive atheist group. I want to include spiritual people into my page and welcome them in, because otherwise, what am I doing this for? And so
it's good to support people who believe the same as you, and also at the same time reach people who you disagree with, and be able to accept them as they are. And
and as soon as you put that A with the circle around it on your photograph, you have just chased away everybody you're trying to help.
Yeah, you eat one baby.
It's such a people have such a hate for atheism. It's just it's comical if you know the truth. Just how
it with Satanism, don't they? And they think that Satan is real. So
right, yeah, they think that you're the devil.
They say it's a religion. You know, atheism is a religion.
They call it a religion. Yes, they do.
It's not a belief; it's a non-belief.
That's
and they
right.
Don't understand the difference between that it's just a non-belief. I mean, they may not, they don't believe in Zeus, whatever, Zoroaster, whatever. And
yeah, they are atheists too towards Zeus, and so you can call them an atheist as well.
I just believe in one less God. That's it.
But they don't see it that way. They equate it to Jesus is real or Allah is real. And so automatically an atheist is the devil. So they just don't, it's going over their head.
Well, I think they don't actually realize that 90% of the Satanists actually don't believe in God or don't believe in Satan. They are actually atheists.
That's true.
Usually,
yeah, a friend of mine who actually helped me with my page early on, who knew a little bit about social media. I'll even say his name, Michael Haggerty. He was involved with the Satanists and that whole movement. And I know firsthand that these people do not believe in any of it. They just like I don't know. I think they like the rise they get out of religious people by affiliating with the symbols and Satan and all in the satanic church. I think they like how it eats at religious people, and that's why they do it.
I think
But
it's
yeah.
a political tool because it's so it's mostly in the United States as far as I know, and I think there are loopholes in the legal system they have which religions can sneak through that
Oh, I
discriminate
never.
against atheists. So if
Oh,
you can represent, you can expose the hypocrisy of the legal system by saying you've made a loophole here for a religion to be able to get through. We make a religion for Satan, and that loophole then applies to Satanism, and then they realize what
wow.
they've done.
I never caught that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that's.
the Temple of Satan does the same thing.
Mm.
That's what they do. They're purely a political group, basically. The
Yeah,
Ten
they're
Commandments,
atheists. They
the
don't believe in it.
the 10 Commandments go up, and they put a statue of
Baphomet.
Baphomet.
I,
Yeah,
I saw that statue and I thought it was a really cool statue, quite
Yeah,
impressive.
that looks awesome.
Yeah, very cool looking. I like fantasy beasts and monsters and
well,
stuff, and that's all
what,
it.
Play that character in D&D.
one
Yeah,
of
yeah, it looks like that. Yeah.
yeah, one of our moderators one of our admin on our group is a Satanist.
Oh, oh, in your group or in?
No, in my group,
Oh,
you
okay.
belong to
Debate.
my
This
group as well.
YouTube channel
Y-
is part of it.
Yeah, which group is that? Because I'm in a lot of them. I know that. I know you invited me to a group. I don't remember the name of it.
It's religious debate, arguments for and against on Facebook.
Oh, okay. And am I doing this interview for a page or for a group?
We
What?
made a channel based on the Facebook group, mostly just as an experiment, just to
Oh,
see
okay.
what we can do with it and see if we can get some
Yeah.
interest.
On YouTube or on Facebook or?
So there's a Facebook group which has about 5,000 members, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then this is a few admins from the group have put together this YouTube
Wonderful.
channel.
Excellent. And what's the name of the group again, if you don't mind?
It's religious debate, arguments
Religious.
for and against.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I post in that
You post
probably.
that, and
Yeah,
you
that's how
post
I found out
in
about you.
Atheist
Yeah.
International as well. You're also a
Yes.
member there. The Atheist International is a very small group, but
Hmm.
you're also a member there. I'm one of the admins there as well.
Oh, great.
And you put a lot of posts up there. But then when I get a chance or whatever, I like to post some of your stuff as well. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I follow your. Well, you got 3 pages, isn't it? You got your page, you've got your group, and then you've got your
YouTube.
private group, your
Yeah.
yeah for patrons, and then you've got your YouTube. So
Yes.
you're quite a busy fella.
I am, I put about I try to average it up. I think I put about 30 hours a week into doing what I'm doing here. I do get sometimes busy with my day job, which is quite a luxury because I'm a musician and I do DJ and I do music production. So I get gigs and then I get time off. Sometimes I'll go a week where I don't have a gig. And so I end up putting about probably 30 hours a week of hard work into this project, what I do.
I actually love your guitar work. You're a fantastic guitarist.
Oh, thank you.
I really love it.
I hope so. I spent my life trying.
Yeah. Just, there's one woman that always sings at the end of your songs. She's got the most tremendous voice.
She's so wonderful. Yeah, she's actually a best friend of mine. We started playing in a band together like 15 years ago, and that's how I met her. She applied, and of course, the band fell apart, and we've kind of gotten back in and out of bands through the years, but our friendship remained, and we continued recording together through all these years.
Yeah. What is the song called?
I Don't Believe is the one people really like.
Yeah, I think that's the one, isn't it? Yeah, she's really it really got an excellent voice. Really blasts through.
Yes.
And then
yes, she sure
you
does.
on a couple of your YouTube, you've had a bit of yourself playing guitar, which is pretty good as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to go back and check some of those out. I probably should put some more of that in there just to let people know that I am an artist. because people kind of wonder, you know, who is this guy? He's kind of odd, and so when I try to explain to people that I'm a musician, it starts to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Well, they expect musicians to act weirdly.
Yeah, and we are kind of
weird.
Yeah.
I think all of us are kind of weird to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
I've been playing guitar since I was 19, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Weirdness comes with it.
Yeah, and I mean that you've got to have some artistic, an heightened sense of artistry in you to even get on video and do what we're doing now. Because I find that most people are shy. They like I try to invite a lot of people, especially Christians, to do live with me. And I tend to, the only people that usually agree to do it are quite eccentric people. You know, modest people just really, it's hard. You have to arm wrestle them to do anything like this. So the world in which we are doing presently right now with cameras on our faces is a pretty eccentric world. I mean, we're pretty ballsy people.
Yeah, performers of any kind have to overcome stage fright sooner or later.
Yes. Yeah.
On the topic of Satanism and what they're doing, though, I didn't quite finish the thought I was going down on that. So the reason it's important to close those loopholes in the law that allow religions through is, say, in the US, for example, if Islam became the majority, then they would use the same loopholes the Christians have been using.
Yes. And you know, on the forefront of that battle is a group called Freedom from Religion. And one of the administrators of our discussion group, Judy, posts a lot of their material. So Freedom from Religion is a great group to follow, and they are all about what you're talking about, the political aspect of religion and closing all of those loopholes and getting on them. So I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
the FFR. Yeah, and
I think they're related to CFI as well. They work together.
Maybe. And is Ben Barker the you know, he's an old school. Dan Barker. Is he the founder of FFR? I think maybe.
I think he might be one of the founders anyway.
Yeah.
Very outspoken about making sure there's a separation between church and state.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they're all about. And that's a great group. And you know, it's really important that we have people to carry the torch, because now's not the time to stop pushing. I mean, these older personalities, Sam Harris, Dan Barker, of course, we lost Hitchens, but I mean, the names that resonate in our minds, the people who really brought the fight to social media they're aging out, you know, and they need to be replaced. And so we need to be very aggressive about keeping these movements alive and supporting new people who are coming into the scene, possibly yourselves, myself, deconverted, some of these younger people who are ready, who are ready to keep the fight moving forward, because people like Dan Barker, they're getting old. I just recently saw him. I mean, he's an old man, and we forget that the people who influenced us 10 years ago are no longer, they're wanting to stay at home and drink warm milk and play with their grandkids. You know, they don't want to be as active as we want to be. And so it's very important that we keep people, that we share the videos of our favorite people, like Alan has, that we support the people, the new upcoming faces, and keep the message moving, keep it out there in social media.
Yeah, I think we've still got some good guys out there, Matt Delahanty and a few others that are pretty strong and pretty vocal. And
right.
Aron Ra is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, I know that name. I haven't watched him very much, but I want to, because I want to see what he has to say about evolution, and Richard Dawkins as well.
He's
That's
got a
the one thing that
series.
I've failed to study. It's the one thing I can't really talk about is evolution. It's very complicated. It's a tough science, and I've kind of chosen to divert to quantum physics rather than evolution. So I
Aron's
don't.
done some great series. I can recommend the Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism. Was the one that really kicked off and started to make a name for him. There's the
Yeah.
systematic classification of life, which follows the evolutionary branching all the way from the
Mhm.
dawn of life to humans. And
Yeah.
then also the PRATT list, which just rapidly takes down the points refuted 1,000 times.
Mhm.
Things like the God of the Gaps argument and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would love to receive a link by some of Ra's best stuff, and
There's a few
and
playlists we can pass on.
yeah, I'll dive into that, because I am fascinated with the evolution of species in our origins. I just really can't. I have no commentary on it. It's not something I was a Christian all my life. What do I know about evolution? I rejected it for 35 years,
Yeah.
and I haven't spent a second studying it, so I really
So
don't know anything about it.
Dawkins is really good at explaining that. His books just read like poetry, really.
Yeah.
Aron can condense that kind of thing down into a very short space of time and give you a really
So
good
yeah,
view.
so he brings it to the layman, kind of like what I do with Christian history and Christian theology.
Yeah, he does instructional videos for
Mhm.
schools. So
Yeah, kind of like the way I perceive how I do things is like I'm a big fan of Bart Ehrman, because I I study what he comes up with, and then I cross check everything, and I'll be damned, the guy's right 99% of the time. I mean, he's just spot on with his facts. But I realize it takes a lot of work to grapple with all of that. So what I like to do is I'll take things from people like Carrier or Ehrman that's on a very scholarly level, and I'll try to break it down to layman for normal people, for people that don't have time. And I think that's been fairly effective. And it sounds like that's what Ra is doing as well, taking things from Dawkins that are extremely hard to understand sometimes, and finds a way to put it in a package that people can easily open and grapple with. And so I try to do that.
yeah, evolution as a subject is something you could spend a lifetime studying. It's absolutely
Exactly.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Same with history though, so it's a shame I don't have time to do both.
Right. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you just get people that dismiss it as a theory. Evolution is just a theory, so and that's
Mm.
where we sort of get aggravated with a lot of Christians that sort of write it off.
Well,
Where
it's
did
Well,
you?
something
I
they've been fed.
it,
It only takes
it
one liar to tell that lie, and it spreads like wildfire.
yeah, I mean, in a sense, it's not a theory though, because I just saw last night this show about what it was like on the American continents, North and South, before Christopher Columbus. And they talked about how there was this blade of grass with one little bud on it, and how they created corn from that one. I mean, it completely turned into a different plant. I mean, it became through within the course of like 200 years or something, it went from one little stalk of grass about this high with a little bud on it into a stalk that stood higher in my head with a corn cob on it.
Yeah,
So I mean, it is a fact that that these things can change and happen in a very small amount of time.
yeah. Paleobotany is a really interesting subject. Basically, all of our foodstuffs are in some way, they're all genetically modified. So people
Yeah,
complain about GMOs, but literally all of our food is GMO.
yeah, interesting. Yep, just through through breeding and selecting, selecting the best traits that you want, and that's evolution. And that, so I don't see how you cannot say that's not a theory. That's a fact. We have those facts in front of us.
For the last 30 years or so, there's a fantastic example of evolution in action where they've been breeding foxes to domesticate them, and they've already started to turn into sort of dog foxes, where
Oh
they've got
wow,
floppy
I
ears
want
and they're really
one.
friendly.
I
It's an
want
experiment in
one.
evolution over our lifetime.
Oh wow, wow, yeah, yeah. That is very wonderful. Good stuff.
Countless examples of these if you go looking for them.
I get, people send me links and I always enjoy it. So if you ever want to shoot me over a link that, oh, I think Jeff Tadlock would like this, feel free to send me something. Uh, a lot of times I try to catch up on links at nighttime. I have the people send me links and then I'll put it on YouTube when I'm going to bed.
I'll have to drop a few links into the description on this video.
Yeah. And what I would really like to see those raw videos, the ones that you said, the ones that made him popular, because now there's so many raw videos that I wouldn't even know where to start. But I'd be interested in some of those good ones.
Well, the simple sort of, was it 4 or 5 videos he's got, Joel, that describes evolution very simply?
Mm-hmm.
There is another guy actually who does that really well, John Perry, who does the Stated Clearly videos. Those are fantastic for educational materials because they're
What a fantastic title too. What a way to get
high
attention.
quality, really factually done, very quickly, just laying out the facts. He's done a whole beautiful series on it.
Yeah.
I'll get some of those in there as well.
It could probably never be a talking point for me. I'm probably forever reduced to Christian theology and history. That's what I study. That's what I know.
I wouldn't say reduced. Everyone's got their own specialist field. Like I can only go so far into astrophysics.
Right. But as a hobby, I kind of take it upon me that it's my duty, it's my job now to help disassemble Christianity around the world. I think that would do a great service to our grandchildren. But as a hobbyist, I'm crazy about quantum physics. I just absolutely love it, and I try so hard to understand it.
What's your take on the link between consciousness and quantum physics? Because I get that from a lot of Christians.
Well, I mean, I don't know where people find that link. It's beyond me how that can be described.
It comes from a misunderstanding of the observer and the observer effect.
Yeah. I think that consciousness is a very interesting field of study. I don't think we know what consciousness is yet. I think we have ideas, but it's one of those things it's like dark matter. We just, we have an idea. We think we know what's going on, but we just can't see it yet. And hopefully I'm not coming across as I'm implying something magical is happening. I'm not. It's still very elusive. It's one of those sciences that, and I gravitate towards the science that is filled with mystery. Consciousness is one of them. Quantum physics is one of them. It's a popular saying in physics that if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand anything at all. And so,
was that fine when you said that?
I don't remember, but everybody's saying it now.
And if you think you understand quantum theory, you don't understand quantum theory.
That's right. And I like that. I don't know why. I just love mystery. I really do. And consciousness.
Interested in religion, then it's the place where people hide their gods. Is the gaps in our knowledge.
Yeah. Who's big on using quantum physics to support his religious ideas is Deepak Chopra. That's right. And I like him. I really do. I think he's a very smart person. But he does have a strong bias. That
he's dangerous personally.
Yeah, he has a very strong bias, and that's the only problem that he has. But he's very smart and he's very eloquent with the way he words things. But he tries to take quantum physics and consciousness, and then he injects some magical artifact in there.
I had a debate with Sam Harris where Sam pretty much tore into pieces.
Oh, I haven't seen. Well, of course, Sam would. I mean, once you inject magic into the situation, somebody like Sam Harris can. That that's just
And
that's
Michael Shermer as well, I think.
yeah. Once you start injecting, once you start doing God of the Gaps and injecting magic into these mysterious places, for somebody like often sometimes myself, but for especially with people like Sam Harris, that is just fuel for his flames. That's where he's going to ignite and just destroy your arguments.
Yeah, the main misunderstanding I see is people thinking that it's like a human has to be watching something for a quantum probability wave to resolve. But it's just that any interaction at the quantum level is a violent interaction for the particle involved. So if you have a sensor and a rock watches the sensor, it's the same result. It's just
Well,
the impact.
any form, any photon that reaches it, that's an observer. Just a tiny photon is an observer.
Yeah, like a collision.
It touches it and it reacts. So that is why there's a lot of videos now in quantum physics trying to describe what an observer is, because people misunderstand that.
Yeah, there was an alternative to the Copenhagen interpretation as well. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it had more to do with like expanding waves rather than multiple single fields. So it's like not an interference pattern. There was something a little bit different going on.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting in the next 20 years, I think, because the Copenhagen is the most popular because it's the most dependable so far. It's the most, it falls in line with our calculations, but there are some new ideas that I think are going to pop up and be quite interesting.
Well, I think the Large Hadron Collider is going to help a lot in exploring that.
Yep. And we did discover the Higgs boson. That was huge. That was very big. Yeah. And that explains our predictive power, doesn't it? That explains how good our math is.
Yeah, that was purely born out of theory, and it just worked.
Yes. Yeah, it bore true. Well, yeah. I mean, it was born out of mathematics, and so there's a lot of people now, a lot of mathematicians now getting on board with simulation theory, which is interesting. What's your feelings on simulation theory? I mean, basically, a lot of people are saying that that everything is math. It's just kind of, and they'll compare it to how our computers work off of zeros and ones. Now, it's more complicated than that, but essentially, there are mathematicians that think that existence, everything is just numbers, just math. So there's a popular guy taking off with it, and he's a little woo-woo maybe. Morg? He's an artist as well, like myself, and of course I'm not trying. I would never want to support his message, because I think he goes off into places that are a little ridiculous. But he is one of those people who have really brought this to attention, how everything is just math.
So math is descriptive rather than like a fundamental. So the reason we have math is because math works. It's just a way of fundamentally describing the universe. But I wouldn't say it's the core itself of the universe. It's a language.
Yeah.
So if the universe wasn't logical, it wouldn't exist. So I think metaphysical naturalism covers everything we see in the universe pretty well. I don't really see any. So to me, simulation theory is destroyed by Occam's razor, just because that requires postulating something more complex than is required for what we see.
Yeah. Do you buy into the idea? I don't like to say belief, because we're just we're not believing in anything here. We're just theorizing, of course. But do you buy into the idea that everything is quantum, everything is pixelated on the smallest levels, that everything is anything that moves is generally a quantum link? It's not analog. nothing is smooth. Everything is bit by bit.
It's difficult to tell because we can't see any smaller at the moment. So for all we know, there may be components to the Higgs boson as well.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you know, I'm kind of like turning this around a little bit to where I'm interviewing you, but I think it's basically you haven't. I don't know who I'm talking to. Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am a mysterious force.
The dark force. The force is with you.
I was a Christian for about 30 years. Only a couple of years ago, I read The Selfish Gene, and because I'd been brought up as a creationist, I was taught young Earth creationism in high school, in
Mm-hmm.
particular when I went to an American school.
Mm.
So it was a real shock for
Ken
me discovering,
Hovind.
yeah, that style, yeah. There's evangelical Christians from America.
Mm-hmm.
So I discovered that they lied to me just thoroughly.
Wow.
So Dawkins' words were just so eloquent and accurate, and of course you can fact check everything he says, and it's true. It holds up,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes sense. And suddenly this sort of thing I didn't think I understood about the world, and it was confusing, and it all made sense in terms that evolution was true, and the Earth really was old, and they'd lied to me. So I thought, well,
Wow.
what else have they lied to me about? And because I enjoyed Dawkins' writing style, I read The God Delusion because it was another book by him, and it was interesting to me because I thought, well, what have I got to lose? If he's right, then I'll change my mind, and if he's wrong, then I'll
Wow.
find out and understand my faith better. I read that book in the course of 2 weeks and then left the church.
So Dawkins is your man. He's your kind of the source for your awakening.
Yeah, he was, I
Love
wouldn't say
that.
single-handedly responsible because, you know, it takes lots of factors to build up to reach the point where you can be honest with yourself.
It does.
So I
Yes.
can think back to other little impacts that happened, but that was when
Right.
I discovered it.
Wow. What a man. What a man in history. Uh, Geez, that's wonderful.
It's only in 2006 he wrote that book, isn't it? Or was it 2007? It's fairly recently, so it's a good time to be alive when you've got all these guys trying
Yes.
to publicize atheism and trying to get reason out there.
Right. Gosh, fascinating. I
I,
love
I,
it.
I had to go through it the hard way. Um, I was brought up a Catholic, became a born again Christian in what was it, 82. Studied to become a pastor, and during that time, I started actually reading the Bible properly.
Mm,
And you start putting Bible verse against Bible verse, and you
right.
start seeing the contradictions. So then
Yeah.
you start asking yourself, what the heck's going on?
Right.
You know, this was before Dawkins or anybody else. So you got a long, hard road ahead of you.
Not anybody else. You got a few philosophers there.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, try to find a library close to you that's got everything that you want to get straight away.
You know,
Um,
it's an interesting how much variety there is, how people come to wake up from religion. Like each one of our stories is different. How we reached the conclusion we did.
yeah, I think with us it is different, but I think with a lot of atheists, they've all been Christians. They've got something in common. They've all been Christians. They've
Mhm.
all found something that they didn't agree with and started questioning. I think the most important thing was questioning. Without questioning, we would have still been blind to the faith.
Yeah. For me, it was I've had a rough go at life. I've had a hard life, and that's what it was for me is where the heck is God? I
Yeah.
mean, I really need him. That
Well,
was mine. And that's when I began to question.
that's what I understood from your very first video, the letter
Mhm.
to God.
Yeah.
I mean, that was something that was really, I think, most people could actually join in that. It's something that they find is common with themselves. There's
Mhm.
something common with what you felt there in that letter, and I think
Mhm.
all atheists feel something or feel akin to what you've said there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually worth us actually linking that to this to our little chat here, because it really a great clip.
Yeah. It is definitely the one
But
video
yes,
that caught the attention of a large audience. Definitely, it's not my largest video view, but it's the one that seems to have emotionally captured attention.
I think it's resonated with most Christian turned atheist people.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, talking about some of your videos, one of the last ones you did, I think it was a chat with a Christian or something like that, when you had a Seventh-day Adventist.
I just posted that today.
Yeah, was it today? I thought it was a
Yeah.
couple of days ago. Perhaps I saw it today. I don't know how you managed to keep your cool. I really don't.
It was hard. Yeah, that one actually tested me. I'm a very mild personality, but I got a little bit heated.
You got a bit of heated, but you still managed to keep you cool. Now, Joel knows me. I would never have been able to do something like that. I fire off the handle very, very quickly when I try when I talk to idiots. I don't want to call them idiots, but people that's indoctrinated, that cannot think.
No, they cannot. And you know, it's fine to call them idiots in that particular subject matter. You know, maybe they're brilliant at making toast. Who knows? But when it comes to the Christian theology, they've lost it. I mean, there's just a lot of stupidity, and yeah, it's hard to not get heated when you're trying to make logic and reason, which is so simple, hit them, resonate with them, get them to understand something as simple as 2 + 2 = 4, and they're not getting it, and it causes your temperature to rise. It really does.
Yeah.
There was something that came up earlier I thought I should address, which was saying that Christians or that atheists used to be Christian, which is actually not the case all the time. I think that's just the circles we move in. We tend to meet people who were Christian.
Yeah, well, like me and Alan and yourself, we have a common theme about us, and birds of a feather flock together kind of thing is going on there.
Yeah, there are many atheists who've never been religious. There are many atheists who've come from other religions or multiple religions.
That's right.
So I thought that was worth pointing out.
Yeah. You know, probably the majority, if I were to guess, just have never been religious, weren't indoctrinated as kids, kind of a thing.
I think the majority are probably China.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, quite refreshing that there's an entire continent out there that's mostly atheist. I like that.
It's unfortunate that their government isn't particularly free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Japan's another one that's actually very religious free, isn't it?
The Shinto that Japan now generally practice is pretty atheist. I don't think there's much emphasis on religion in it.
Yeah, well, so I mean, if you think about the Second World War, the emperor was their religion, you know.
Hirohito, I think it was.
Yeah,
who else? Lost the war, said he's not.
Well, if you back up in time, then that probably bears more truth. In a modern world now, it's probably difficult to say that, but if you back up 100 years ago, maybe that would be a little more the case. Because the further back in time, the more you move away from the modern secularist age, the more almost everybody was spiritual in some kind of way.
Well, yes, there was the Christian Dark Ages for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and I'm talking in Asia and just everywhere, all around the world. The further back you move back in time, before secularism's and science became forefront, then almost everybody was religious.
Yeah, of course, you've got many religions older than Christianity, older than Judaism as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what he's saying about people worshiping the emperor as kind of a god was probably it's not something I've studied, but it's probably very true, going back 70, 80 years.
You don't have to go back that far. I mean, you just have to look at Korea. Already, that's somebody, you know, a whole nation that worships their leader.
Even South Korea is religious; they're quite Christian.
Wow. Well, we got work to do. We got to roll up our sleeves, my friends.
The only thing you have to do is educate people in reason.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we do. And you got to catch them too. I mean, you got to try. You got to have tactics, because you know, it's hard to get spiritual people to come to me. It really is. I'm constantly thinking, what do I need to do to attract Christians? You know, how do I reach out to them?
Work. There is a place for direct conflict, directly addressing religion, but I think oblique methods work. So, for example, what's his name? Yuval Noah Harari, who's written on history, also covers religion. And for example, in 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, he covers religion on several chapters and explains how the fictions work.
Not at all familiar with what you're talking about. The author.
He wrote *Sapiens*, which is one of the bestsellers worldwide.
Okay, and you're saying he has been effective at reaching the spiritual community?
It certainly made an impact on me, his books, but the thing is that he covers that subject, but it's not his primary subject. So people read his books with an interest in history, and the fact that it's a bestseller means it's already reaching a lot of religious people.
Right. That's true if you reach that level, but for the rest of us, it's hard to stir up the hornet's nest. It really is. Like, I'll try to join a Christian group and try to get your message in there. They shut you down before it can even get published.
I mean, I think you can't bring in via other ways. You can't.
I'm constantly trying to find ways to stir up the hornet's nest, and they've got moats around them. I mean, I can't get in, and I try. And I try to be inviting as well. I try to bring them in, and I try to be friendly about it. I am friendly, honestly, but I'm just trying to find the methodology to reach somebody who's a believer and try to ring a bell somewhere.
So what they need to do is they need to find a belief that they have is false, and they need to find it themselves. They basically need to be encouraged into curiosity, I think, is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I'm very effective with the people who are on the fence, the people who are beginning to ask questions. There's that old saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But I'm trying to go deeper than that, and it's quite difficult to have a powerful bell ringer get into the midst of the brainwashed. It's a difficult thing to do.
So have you looked into street epistemology?
Yeah, you know, not really. I hear about it, and I think I have plans on actually trying it if it is what I think it is. Where I do plan on going with a film crew and finding people on the street who maybe have just exited church and ask them if I can interview them. Is that what street epistemology is?
Yeah, it's just a casual conversation where rather than presenting facts, rather than telling anyone what you think, you encourage them through the Socratic method to examine their own epistemology in the sense of you'll pick a belief, and generally it's a God belief or a supernatural belief of some sort.
Yeah.
And then you just have to ask questions like, how do you know that's true?
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah, and I know the guy who kind of brought that to the forefront. He sits there with a table, he has his mic, and he's very friendly, and he just listens. And
Anthony Magnabosco is the guy who is it. But there's also Reed Nicewonder who does a Cordial Curiosity channel.
So that's the thing, though, is you need to go out into public and you need to invade public spaces physically. It's not something you can really do online socially. It'd be more difficult. And I myself have these plans. Of course, you know, I want to be very active. I want Stairway to Reason to help. And one of the things that I want to do is move away from just the social media platform and start taking it out into the real world. as I proposed, as trying to find people on the street. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen. Definitely won't happen within the next few months, but before the year's over, I would like to attempt trying these things, which is similar. But you still have that issue, at least on social media. You can't really do street epistemology because you can't get in. They won't open the door.
Well, you need to do it in a one-on-one situation, so you can meet people through social media and then just chat to them. And also, the times leave it hanging is when you
the challenge for me is you can't record it. You can't get them to agree to do a live with you. Otherwise, you can't. I can just do a one-on-one all day long, quite often, but I wouldn't be reaching a greater audience. I wouldn't be helping more than just one particular person. And, my aim is set for more than for one. I'm very happy that I have singles message me almost weekly that, oh, thank you. Your videos help wake me up. Individually, I'm very glad that I have reached them. But to invest the amount of time I do, I definitely want to reach more than one. And so I need, what I need is Christians that are willing to be willing to go live with me like we're doing now, and hopefully not have them be eccentric or weirdos, like normal people, and have normal, rational conversations with them. It's very difficult.
I don't think there's anything such thing as a normal person. I've never met one.
No.
Well,
we're certainly not normal.
Yeah.
Hello, Brad. Sorry, we got Brad just popped into to join us. I see his mic's muted, but
yeah, no mic.
No mic. Okay.
He just wants to listen.
Hello, Brad. So where are we streaming? Are we on YouTube right now?
Yeah, I've got this streaming live onto YouTube.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Well, hello, YouTube viewers.
I don't think there's many.
I don't get many either.
Afterwards,
afterwards. I get like on my YouTube, I get like maybe 10 viewers, but then a few days later it's in the hundreds. But now on my Facebook I get thousands, but my YouTube presence is not very strong. And actually I need help with that. I need to find an administrator who wants to help me run my YouTube page, and if we can grow it and become effective there, then I would be more than happy to share the monetary aspect of it, which you guys know is nickels and dimes. But hey, an extra meal, a paid for meal on the table is better than nothing, right?
Yeah, I think you do have to invest a lot of time and trying to make things public.
Yeah. Well, trying to get a paycheck for all of the work you've done is extremely difficult in social media. It is so hard to get compensation for your time, and unfortunately, it's really hard to feel like to work really hard at something and not receive pay. It's very it eats at you. It's like, should I be doing this or should I just give up?
I think you have to enjoy the process yourself. It's a side thing.
Yeah. After a while though, after you realize how much work it is, and after about a year of doing it, you start to lose steam. The fun is kind of like, I had my fun, and then you're off to something else. To keep going, it's really nice to, like Alan, he supports people that he cares about. It's really nice to have people to help you receive some pay for your work. But my point is, it's not very much. It's nickels and dimes, but it helps keep you motivated. It really does.
Yeah, it helps to have a community around, and also your interests will shift over time. So there may be that you still want to make videos, but you want to focus on specific aspects of what you're interested in as well. You've learned something new, you get excited about it, and you want to explore that new area.
Yeah, that's quite possible. And if I ever did have time for that, it wouldn't be for Stairway to Reason. start a new page or have a new title of some sort. But right now, I don't know what that would be. Right now, I'm working really hard at trying to help people wake up from religion, especially Christianity, and I've been effective at it. My numbers come in. I receive messages from people, and that lets me know that it's working.
Yeah, it's great to get feedback.
Yeah, it's working. So I know Alan probably knows every once in a while I'll post a message that I was like, oh wow, that just feels great. We helped wake somebody up. And
and it's difficult to do that. I mean, if you can get 1 out of 1,000, if one in a lifetime,
it is. Yeah, I was the very first time I ever received a message from somebody that I helped, that I impacted, that they say, you helped me wake up from my religion. The first time that happened to me, man, my eyes welled up. I had to pause and stop and think and just wow over that. Like, wow, it worked. I reached somebody, I helped somebody with this. And now it's commonplace. It's doesn't quite stir me quite as much emotionally, but it makes me feel like what I'm doing is effective. It's working. And
it's worthwhile doing.
It's worthwhile doing. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's getting easier in the age of the internet just because there's more information out there that people can access. And one of the things that religion relies on is ignorance.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that so true? That's a good meme right there. You oughta coin that one and put that up.
I'm sure somebody said
get a lot of shares. Yeah, the way you worded it was perfect. Yeah, I know people regurgitate things all the time. But, yeah, good stuff. Absolutely.
One of the things that Yuval Noah Harari tends to equate with religion is any other ideology as well. So he says, well, from a certain perspective, money is a religion. It's a shared imagination by everyone that this piece of paper is worth something.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it real, even though it's not.
Yeah, so it's something that has no objective reality, and yet it alters the behavior of everyone. But then if you were trapped on an island with a pile of money, you would realize very quickly that the value of money is only in other people.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I love it.
I think you'd really like his books.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Been there, where money is worth nothing. I mean, Zimbabwe, well, they don't even have currency anymore. I mean, you could sit with you could sit with a wheelbarrow full of $100 bills, and the wheelbarrow would be worth more than the load that you're carrying, and that's the truth. Zimbabwe has now got no currency. They use the American dollar or the British pound, but their currency is shot. So money can have no value.
Same thing happened in post-World War I Germany. That's one of the things that led to World War II was the massive debt they had to pay off, even though they'd been destroyed by the war. I think it was the League of Nations at the time. Various countries said they had to pay restitution. So of course they printed more money to send the money out to say, well, here's our money, and it destroyed their currency.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, there's so many wonders and mysteries to life. My mind just races with these kind of things. I don't know how to turn it off.
You shouldn't turn it off. It's quite fun to explore stuff.
Keep it running. Yes, I love it.
Something Carrier said was you should spend at least an hour a day just thinking about philosophy and just exploring something you haven't thought fully through.
Yeah, or I spend more than an hour a day on that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's good. In the world population doesn't do that enough. They really don't. People really are kind of robotic in their nature. They go to work, they watch Family Guy on TV, they go to bed, and the enrichment's not in there anywhere. The good stuff, the studying, that's very important.
Well, people have been scared away from philosophy, and I personally think that's down to theologians trying to put people off. So one of the things with religion running on ignorance is if you want to have power over people, you have to hide knowledge from them. And religion then is dressed up in, you don't understand God, and using all these fancy words that only priests can understand. And don't read the Bible, we'll interpret it for you, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
The same attitude has pervaded philosophy, in that theologians used to be the philosophers for a long time. And that same attitude went into philosophy, where you had to use complicated words to try and scare people away from understanding. You go, no, let me make the decisions. I'm the philosopher. I'll tell you what's going on. It's a long way from the days when Aristotle and Socrates and these other guys were trying to get people to understand it.
Right.
It's very simple. All you have to do is just look at the world in a slightly different way.
Right. Oh, come on. You want to come up here with me? She wants to say hi again. She's digging at my leg. She wants to see what the activity is. What's going on? Who is that? Who are you talking to? Oh, we just got a comment. Well, thank goodness for the religious being educated. Yeah, I was religious all my life, and I thought science was the devil. At least that's what I was taught. So how in the world are you going to get educated when you're hermetically sealed, in your own mind?
It's interesting in different ways, though, because I thought that science supported God when I was religious. I guess I didn't really understand it because I'd been told by other people that science supported God.
Well, I thought that science was the devil because it taught that the earth was billions of years old and that creatures evolved from each other, and that was the great lie.
Yeah, so, Genesis was wrong.
Yeah.
And but you speak to most Christians today, they'll turn around and say, well, Genesis is only a story. It's a metaphor. Because evolution happened, but it's a metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a diversity of Christians. I found that it's very. Once I divorced Christianity, it really became hypersensitive to just how many different versions of Christianity there is. It blew my mind. I thought I was aware of the diversity, but I thought that they all kind of agreed on almost everything, and that the variations were very slight. But then I came to realize after divorcing it that the diversity is quite large. There's quite a divide between a lot of Christians in what their core principles are. For example, some people believe that the earth is billions of years old, and some people believe the earth is 6,000 years old. Some people believe that Jesus' sacrifice for sins covers everybody, and you don't have to believe in him. And some people believe that you actually have to know Jesus and worship him or you won't make it. I mean, there's such a large variety of Christians. It's kind of hard to nail them down anymore.
The flat earthers tend to
they can be so slippery.
Well, there isn't really. That's one of the myths of Christianity, that there is a Christianity. It's a whole collection of different cults that are all just under one banner. If you ask each individual ones, one particular sect in a village is going to hate the other sect in the same village more than anyone else in the world.
Right. And you think you understand the core principles of Christianity, and then you debate one, and you find out that that's not their core principle. And you're like, oh, well, what the heck? What are we talking for? Then you don't even believe it's odd how malleable they can be.
Well,
how slippery.
The ones who believe in an old earth, of course, if they believe that the Genesis story is not literally true, then they've destroyed the original sin, which means Jesus died for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they can be very slippery, and you really gotta catch them and get them into a corner to make them realize the fallacies of their thinking.
Yeah, but when you get them in the corner, they won't accept that they are wrong. That's the big problem. And as soon as you get them in the corner, you've lost it, because it's like a brick wall.
Yeah, yeah, and they shut you down, and they become heated, or they they become manic. And once you've reached that state of a manic state, then there's no more reason to be had.
Well, it's like, have you ever read The God Virus by Dr. Darrel Ray?
No,
No.
no.
So he treats religion as a viral meme, in the sense that it evolves it by itself and it moves through the minds of people, and the strongest one wins by conquering the most minds and propagating it on to the next generation. So
Wow, that's amazing what you just said. That was very, very interesting. Who is that author, and can you send me that link?
Dr. Darrel Ray, sure. I'll link
Let
that
me
one
write
for you
that
as well.
down here. Let me pull up a
If you
notebook
look up
here.
the God Virus, it'll come up.
Okay, the God virus. I'll look that up.
I'll add all these links under the video when I upload it.
Okay. God virus. Okay, well, I've written that down.
Yeah,
I really like that. That's I love it when there's an aspect that's new to me.
Well, one of the things it does is it gives you a bit more empathy towards believers. So it's a lot of atheists, when they first deconvert, get quite angry at being lied to by all these people they trusted. But then, of course, if you think of it as it's not their fault, they're just
a disease.
Virus.
Yeah. Wow. That is very interesting. Yeah. And I've said that, and I speak that quite often, actually, but I've never said it quite like that. I do encourage atheists to always be friendly and have an open door towards spiritual people, because we tend to come at them immediately with this attitude that they're stupid. And
the worrying thing is they're usually just as intelligent as you are.
Yeah, and we tend to offend them, and once you've offended them, then you've kind of started a silent war, and nobody wants to lose a war, and they'll fight to the death at that point, rather than have reason develop. It kind of shuts it down. So you really do want to be very friendly with religious people, and try not to offend them. I know there's this big thing, well, what's wrong with offending people? But the truth is, when you're trying to help somebody, you don't want to offend them.
Now, one-on-one, I think you're right, but I would say that there is actually
one-on-one,
ridicule.
Yes. So, yeah, offend the hell out of them. Yeah, absolutely.
So in the sense of a society rejecting a dangerous belief, so for example, flat earthers and that kind of thing.
I believe in being offensive. Yeah, absolutely, in that aspect. But when you're trying to help somebody and reason with somebody one-on-one, you really do want to be on your tippy toes, because if you do offend them or come across treating them like maybe they're stupid, you're closing the door on what could possibly be some headway.
Yeah, it's different tools for different scales. So on the cultural level, ridicule works really well, because people will change sides out of embarrassment.
Yes,
if they're shown
absolutely.
Up. So that's how you avoid the problem of saying, well, how do we remove dangerous beliefs without some sort of thought crime system, with an Orwellian nightmare? And the way is with mockery, where you just ridicule ridiculous ideas. And the people in that minority who are being ridiculed will either be able to defend themselves, or they won't. And if they can't defend themselves and they're being ridiculed, they will switch out of embarrassment.
Yes, yes, fantastic.
That's how we lose more members in our debate group than anywhere else, because I can't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah,
I'm probably the worst person for that. I think Joel will explain exactly like I am. If somebody's an idiot, I'll tell him straight, he's an idiot.
You can't just go around calling people a dickhead all the time. You're an admin.
Yeah, I know, but I do. The guy's a dickhead. He's a dickhead. I can't help. And there's a few of them.
Well, I've found that assholism or dickhead, like you're saying, is oftentimes people are only of that nature in particular situations, and then in other situations they're quite lovely.
Well, I'm a lovely fella. I just like as I see it.
Contextual, isn't it? There are people that you can work with that you wouldn't want to be socially with, and vice versa.
Yeah. There's always one particular area, subject matter, maybe that will make certain people develop these asshole characters in themselves.
And of course, there's people who play characters. There are people who don't put their real face out into the world.
Right. Yeah. Quite often, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that reminds me maybe a little bit. Maybe I resonate with that a little bit when I was in high school or junior high. You wanted to be the popular kid, so you were really beside yourself. You know, everything was artificial, trying to match the clothes that you wear with what the popular kids were wearing, trying to observe behaviors and try to manipulate that for yourself. That, you know, those were very trying times for me, especially I think I fell into my natural self up into high school, but I have not fond, but very clear memories of junior high really making a bold attempt to be something other than myself, to be one of the popular kids. And that was a very interesting moment, probably in most of our lives, where we maybe attempted to be something we weren't. And maybe a lot of people don't grow out of that. Maybe a lot of people carry that for a lifetime.
Well, I think so. Would you say you're richer from the experience of having tried it, though? Because I would say,
Oh, yes. Yes.
You
Oh,
want to
absolutely.
experiment, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a real eye opener. You look back on it and you're like, wow, what I was trying to be a certain clique or fit in with a certain group. Why was I doing that?
I think
complaining about political correctness and not being allowed to ridicule people.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was just saying that I think it's all part of growing up, trying to fit into cliques.
Yeah.
It's part of growing up, and the problem is some people just haven't got there yet.
Yeah. I think he's right. There are quite a few people that still wear an artificial face.
Well, one of the most common story themes is the coming of age story. So pretending to be something you're not can actually turn you into that. You might discover it in yourself in the end. It's one of the most common stories that's told in almost every children's film, is like someone coming out of their shell and growing up.
Yeah. Finding out who you really are. Yeah. Well, I found out I was a musician, and to my own detriment, that bared true. But I don't necessarily regret, but aspiring to be a musician is not very fruitful aspiration to have.
It depends for sure. Those lucky few who make it really famous.
Yeah, 1 in a million or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, you still got a talent. That's you still, when you play the guitar, it's still well worth listening to. I enjoy it. So,
yeah,
it's worth pursuing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's a funny thing, because I it was a career. It still is to some degree, actually, but it's not an enriching career anymore. But it was in the early 2000s. It was actually a fantastic, good money, and I worked really hard at it. But of course, the digital age squashed all of that. There's no more money in it like there was. Back at, I made the most money ever in my life back in the back when we recorded with cassette tapes. They were called ADATs. They were the size of a VCR tape, if you remember VHS.
Yeah.
And you slid it into the machine, and we called those ADATs in the music industry, and that's what we recorded with. And man, I'll tell you, we were making a lot of money back then recording. But once the digital age hit and everybody was recording digitally, that's when every musician started to record themselves on their own software in their bedrooms, and that's where the industry fell, and that's where I lost everything.
So in the way the market flooded, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, the days of making money as a music producer in a local town like Seattle just became a dinosaur. I mean, it's still difficult for even the bigger studios to make money, and I still work in them to this day. Some of the bigger studios, but it's I think even some of the bigger, I've seen some of the bigger studios collapse. I mean, they no longer exist. The studio I worked in, Mars Studio, it finally collapsed about, I think, 8 years ago. And that was Heart's, the band Heart. That was their studio. I know that some people think Bad Animals, which still exists, is Heart Studio, but it wasn't. The really underground, the studio that was actually in the house of Roger Fisher, the guitar player for Heart. I mean, that was the official Heart Studio, which I worked in. I didn't think that studio would ever die, and it's no longer on the map. It's gone.
Well, they say, I think it takes 10,000 hours doing something to become an expert at it, which means the average person will become an expert in about 6 or 7 different disciplines in their life. So I'm sure there's more than just music in your skill set.
Well, I mean, no, not really. Just what I'm doing now with you here. Because I still do record. I mean, I don't earn much. I make about as much as maybe somebody working full time at McDonald's, but I still do. I've had to find other means like DJ. I'm a DJ. I do DJing, high schools, weddings, those kind of things. I mean, it's lucrative. There's money in it, but it's not even middle class. It's hard to survive as a musician, and I still get production gigs. I still have a name for myself, and people still desire my talents, like Alan says, on guitar, and in my ability to not overplay, but actually help a track come to life rather than, So I still get work, but it's no longer, I don't even call it a career anymore. It's almost a state of poverty, unfortunately.
Brad's got a question for you there. I don't know whether you can see it or not.
I can't.
You can't see it. No. All right. He says, Brad says, for Jeff, do you have any particular techniques, approaches, thought experiments, etc., which seem to be particularly effective when debating religious folks?
What was the last part? Any strategies that are effective for what?
Debating religious folk.
Oh, religious folk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. First, don't debate religious people if you're not qualified. I mean, you have to know the ins and outs. I mean, you really have to understand the fallacies around all of the central doctrines of whatever particular religion you're debating. You just have to be. It's not something you have to stop and think about. It has to be very intuitive, where your mind immediately understands where the problem is with what they're saying. You have to be very sharp and understand exactly where you're at on the map with the theology. That's first and foremost. I mean, nobody should debate a Christian unless they really understand what they're debating.
Is that more about the logic, or do you need to know the specific religion? So, for example, say you came across a religion you've never heard of before. If you understand the logic of it, you could still debate because it's the same flaws they use in every religion.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say don't debate. Have the debate. Go ahead. But to be effective, it helps to understand the theology. Like, I would not be an effective debater for Islam or Hinduism. I just wouldn't be. I could do it and you know, I'd probably find illogical fallacies that I could bring up, but I wouldn't be as sharp-witted as I am with Christian theology or Christian history. I'm very intuitive with that. My brain doesn't have to stop and think. I can grab what I need instantly. And so it really helps to be effective in a debate, to really understand and really be studied in that which you're debating. First and foremost, to be really effective. And I think the second quality is to be nice to them. I really do. I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do think from a street epistemology perspective, though, the less you know, the better you are in that capability. So if you're doing a direct debate where you're trying to refute specific points, then it makes sense to have a background knowledge of their theology and their religious beliefs. But if all you're
Yeah.
going for is the core problems, the same fallacies crop up in every single religious belief.
Yeah, I mean, you could really have a generic debate like that and just pull up philosophical fallacies with anything that is supernatural. But you know, to have an effective debate with a Christian, it really helps when they draw up something like Daniel 9, where they're trying to make a correlation how this prophecy predicted this and this and this, instead of just saying, well, I don't know about that. It helps to really know the depth of what it is you're debating. That will make it to where you're more effective. Just be studied, understand what you're engaging with. If you're not just going to do what you said, the street epistemology. My phone's going off. It's fairly easy to debunk spirituality with just a simple logic. I mean, it's not that hard to do. But I think what he's asking is, if you're going to have a debate with a particular person with a particular brand of religiosity, it's definitely effective to know what you're getting into, to be prepared for it.
It's just the weakness I find in that is you can get sidetracked. So say somebody brings up like the zombies in Matthew, for example. You can go off on this whole tangent about it, but what you're doing there is you're sort of picking petals off a weed instead of
Yeah,
just pulling the roots out. Trying
right.
to attack the epistemology of the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just go for the core if you're not very in any religious or even say psychics or magicians or just any kind of ghosts, even aliens, for example, maybe to some degree, anything that's kind of this fringe science or supernatural kind of element. You can, like you said, just go for the roots. Just keep them away from getting into these little synchronicities that they develop, and they try to throw these at you. Yeah, all these little connections they make, and going off into these byways, like you said, where if you don't know what you're talking about, they can stump you up and they can lead you away from dealing with the core issue. So that can be challenging too, to try to get them back to that core fallacy, because they keep wanting to run away from that and get you enveloped in these little connections that they've made.
What about do you find yourself arguing definitions a lot?
You know, I just haven't found myself arguing enough yet, and I want to. I feel quite capable and somewhat effective so far, and I've posted some of those debates on my page, and I've received uh, good comments, compliments for doing so. But I don't know yet if I'm an effective debater. I really don't know yet. And I don't know if I am a debater. We'll see. This next year will tell, I think.
Right, yeah, you explored that a little bit more. Got another question from Brad. He was saying, do you have an anecdote referring to a specific topic, theme, or subject matter that may have yielded better results than other approaches? So, was there like a lessons learned that you've had where you should have gone down another route?
Concerning what? I'm a little bit lost.
In a debate with a believer.
Oh, no, I haven't felt like that yet. I feel like I've been pretty good at trying to get people that I'm debating with to stay on point, to resolve my questions. I feel like I'm pretty good at that. I don't think that I've experienced that, no. But I'm new at this too, mind you. I'm new at this. Maybe I will be some great debater in the years to come. That could be me, but I'm a musician and I'm a writer. I write, so everything I do. My page is about my writing. I spend hours and hours a day writing, trying to put complicated subject matter into words that I can feed people. That's what I do. I don't know if I'm so much of a public personality doing this. I'm just trying it out. I'm just getting out there and seeing what happens.
I think quick thinking in terms of words is going to be really useful in a debate scenario, because you'll be able to condense your thoughts down and fire them out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was saying as part of being effective is, at least for me, for my own advice, is know the subject matter. It has to be intuitive. It can't be something where I have to stop and think. It needs to be an instant reaction. The subject matter has to, everything has to be in the cloud, ready to be plucked as I need it. And so far, I've been effective in that with Christian theology and Christian history. I'm not so sure that I would be so effective with any other subject matter.
Well, some of the problem I find in terms of debating subjects is that it's not really about that subject. So you'll get deflections. You can spend ages arguing about something, and then it turns out that wouldn't change their mind anyway. Like if you ask somebody why they believe in a God, and they'll say a particular story of a miracle, or they'll say, look at the trees argument or something like that. You can argue them down from it, and then they won't change their mind even after realizing they're wrong. So sometimes it's easier just to say, if I proved you wrong, would you change your mind? And if they say no, then you can just throw that entire argument out and move on to the next one.
Yeah, and I like that, and that would be what is known now and quite popular. I've heard the word. That is street epistemology, correct?
That's the way it works, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very popular, and I think that's a great method, but I don't know if it's quite as entertaining or what people want. I think people want to see more of the detailed discussions about things.
I think want to see a cage match.
Yeah, people want to see a cage match, and so I'm prepared for that. I'm ready to brawl with Christian history and Christian theology, and that's it. I don't think I could brawl any other subject matter, but I can do Christianity quite well, quite effective, and so far so good. I've been winning my matches, I do believe. I don't know if people enjoy it or not. We'll see. I'm going to keep doing it. But
the last one with the 7-day Adventist was pretty good. So, as I said, you managed to keep your temper down.
Yeah, I did. And the thing is what was just said here is that I don't think that we're going to change anybody's mind anyways, even if we get to the core principle or in a debate. But that's not the point. We know we're not going to change their minds. What we do want is for the people in the dark who are watching, the people we don't see, the people who we aren't engaging. We are hoping that we will gain their inquisitiveness. We're hoping that the person we're debating, we know that we're debating them not to change them, but to change somebody out there who's watching.
Yeah, who's listening to it.
Who's listening to it.
And
I always know that going in. I always know that I am not going to change or convince this person in front of me, even if I win the fight, even if I'm dominating the dojo. This person's not going to change. But what will happen is this video, this engagement will reach somebody out there in the silent, somebody out there that that I don't know who's watching in.
Well,
So,
it's like Dawkins reaching out to Joel when he read which one did you read that you the selfish
the
gene?
God delusion was the one that
God
really changed my
delusion.
mind. But the
Yeah,
first one was the selfish gene,
the gene.
which
Yeah,
I consider one of the most important science books ever.
yeah.
yeah. And, blasphemy. I have not read it yet.
You have sinned against Dawkins.
Yes, I have. Yes, I must, and it's not the first time I've had this thought. I need to read Dawkins. I really do need to. I haven't yet. I don't know why. I just have. I've been so. That's the evolution field, and I've just avoided that like the plague because I've just wanted to deal with Christian theology and Christian history. I just have not wanted that burden of the creation versus evolution debate. I just haven't. Oh my God, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be that person that has to deal with that.
Now, you're in good hands with Ehrman and Carrier, though. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Let those guys deal with that and let Raw deal with that. I mean, they're doing such a good job. Why would I want to try to? I'm doing a good job at what I'm doing. My branch of the fight, I'm doing a good job at, and I think I want to stay steady there. But because of that, I've been neglected of some great material. So, very disheartening.
I think as we start to move towards debate rather than discussion, because at the moment we're pretty much all atheists joining in on this, but I think we're hoping to get a few theists in and have some back and forth. When we do that, we'd love to have you to have a go at a debate as well, and maybe get if we find some things that we disagree on, we can go back and forth on that too, get some practice in.
Absolutely. I'm completely open, and my services are still free. Try to get Richard Carrier, and he's going to charge you $100 an hour.
Yeah, his schedule is booked out well in advance, I think.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is we're learning from you, and I think you're still on a learning curve yourself. So it's a win-win situation for all of us, really.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just because you're small peas doesn't mean you need to give up the fight. I mean, we need the small peas in social media because they fill in the gaps of the people that aren't being reached. I mean, we need all the colors of the rainbow in this fight, and so I feel like even though I don't have millions of people following me, I feel that I have been effective. I feel like that I am a helpful part of this engine. I'm a part of this engine. I'm an important piece of it, and I finally feel like that. And so I'm powering the engine out there, and so are you guys. I mean, all collectively, we're doing this. We're all a part of the engine of reason, and so you don't want to give up on the smaller parts of the engine. I mean, it's all working together to make waves.
Well, you mentioned the word fight there, which I think is appropriate because it can be easy to forget sometimes that there are real world consequences to religious belief and abandonment of reason. You can see the actual destruction of the earth heading our way if we're not careful.
Yeah, it is a fight. It's a fight for reason. And for me, it's a fight for my grandchildren that I don't have yet. I wish I did. I don't know what my kids are waiting for. Hurry up and bring me some babies. But I mean, it's a fight for my kids. It's a fight for my grandkids. I see that a secular world is much safer, much happier, much better. I'm not saying the world is perfect and there's bad people and there's a lot to fight for out there. It's just choose your battles and fight them well. And there's all kinds of evils in this world. Some people are fighting for the rights for animals. Some people are fighting for political rights. Some people are fighting to end these harmful religions. It all needs to be done, but there needs to be people doing it. And I think that secularism is very important to a better, safer, happier world.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go now. So, do you guys want to carry on? Should I?
I think we can
That's
end
fine.
the live video thing, but we perhaps carry on chatting.
I'll have to stop the broadcast at some point from here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, I can go as well, and I appreciate joining you guys.
Yeah, we can
And
have you on again.
absolutely, yeah. And I'm really happy to be a part of anybody who's out there rolling up their sleeves and trying to help society. I'm all for it.
Do you want to just remind everyone of your channel as well? I'll put the link down in the description.
Sure. Yeah, I'll share the link. Absolutely.
I'm going to switch off. So thanks for coming and joining us. Had a great chat.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
You too. Have a good afternoon.
Yes, absolutely. It is. It's 2:00 here.
Yeah.
Time for lunch. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.